Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Black Bolt slash White Flare, the final two sets of the Scarlet and Violet era, are right around the corner in Japan. We have another main set internationally before then, although this will be, again, this is the final set of sets, or final set. I'm going to talk about them like they're one set, because they kind of are. And so they'll be the special set and the last set of the Scarlet and Violet era, but obviously it's not so focused on Scarlet and Violet, it's focused on, well, Black and White, right? So these two sets are really interesting because they have some callbacks to Black and White cards that we've seen so far. Taking a look here at Pokemon Proxies, these are not the official prints, but we see some references, some very clear, like reprints essentially. We got Electric here. We have, I guess, Professor's Research, but that doesn't really count. We have Sharon, which isn't super good, but is cool to see back. I guess it's a reprint. And then we have Embor, which is a very similar. It's like almost a reprint. And then we have Ignition Energy and also Air Balloon, which are reprints of cards that are newer than Black and White, which is kind of weird. Not exactly sure why that's happening, but that's cool, I guess. But then Prism Edge is another Black and White reprint. So we have a bunch of Black and White reprints or spiritual reprints. And so today we're going to take a look at what cards might be in the set, including some submitted by you, some speculative card design ideas. But we're going to be taking a look at cards that were good in the Black and White era, and mostly Black and White Pokemon. But the first one we're going to look at is Execute. Execute, in my opinion, is a really cool card. Obviously, Execute as a Pokemon, it's not a Black and White Pokemon. I'm pretty sure the set's going to be mostly Black and White Pokemon, if not exclusively Black and White Pokemon. It seems like it will be exclusively Black and White Pokemon, but we'll see. And we'll see like how this stuff is split between the two sets as well. But Execute is a card with a really cool ability, and I think we might see this ability on a different Pokemon potentially from Black and White. Maybe I'm just being hopeful, but this ability is really cool. This Pokemon was a really iconic Black and White era Pokemon with the ability Propagation, saying once during your turn before your attack. If this Pokemon is in your discard, you may put it into your hand. It says once during your turn, but you can actually just use it as much as you want. But this is a really interesting ability. We haven't really seen much like it. The closest thing I can think of that's recent is Grant, which is a supporter with like a weird ability thing that lets it go back into your hand, but it discards cards. It functions very differently in terms of practical application, but this is a really unique ability and something that I think would be kind of fun. Pokemon has kind of shied away from it, and we're going to talk about abilities a little more in the video, and some of the ways that they've kind of changed things. Execute is a card I would like to see back in some form. Obviously, again, probably not on Execute, but this is an ability that, again, would be really fun, and I could see it coming back on a different Pokemon because, obviously, again, it is a pretty iconic Black and White card. Next card we have here is Darkrai EX. Darkrai EX is another Pokemon, or Darkrai is another Pokemon that's obviously not a Black and White Pokemon. However, it is a Pokemon that's also pretty iconic from the Black and White era. Also, I'll throw in Mewtwo EX as well. Mewtwo EX is also really iconic, maybe a little more iconic, which I can't find, but it's a card that, does, oh, here it is. It does like solid damage and stuff. I was also in Celebration, so, very iconic there. But Darkrai EX, these two are two pretty iconic EXs from this era. Cool ones. Again, neither are Black and White era Pokemon, I guess, like the cards are, but not the Pokemon themselves. So we're not going to see these cards like getting truly reprinted, but we could see something very similar. So tell me down below if you think that Pokemon's going to make reference to the Black and White cards on different Pokemon. If you think that's going to happen, like very directly, obviously, cards are kind of all, related to each other in some regard, but I'm really interested in seeing if these cards end up getting pseudo reprinted. That would be really fun, and I would not be shocked if we see that for some. There are plenty of cards in this vein as well, but let's talk about some cards that could actually literally be reprinted, or at least very similarly. The first one is Keldeo EX. This one is also pretty iconic from Black and White. First in Boundaries Crossed, and this card was or it might have been a promo first, I don't know, but it's a card that is a Black and White era card with its ability Rush In, letting you switch from the bench to the active. We've seen this ability on a few different Pokemon. I don't know what the first one was, but this might, I don't know. I'm less familiar with cards before the Black and White era, but this is definitely one that is, a predecessor to some cards. I mean, we saw the Russian ability on like a Solgaleo, and we saw it on Solgaleo EX in Pocket. I don't think it's called Russian, but I don't remember. But regardless, Russian is a really cool ability that allows you to have some extra switching. We see abilities kind of like in standard. Pekron EX's ability is like kind of similar, and I think there are some others as well. I think Decidueye EX as well. But then you have Secret Sword here, which is 50, 20 more for each water energy attached to it. It's nothing super crazy as a Pokemon, but it still was quite good. It had a cool design. It was also paired with Blastoise. Blastoise, obviously a Gen 1 Pokemon, but with the ability to accelerate as much water energy as you want. I believe the Blastoise was what was it? I think the last might have been an X and Y card now that I think about it. Oh no, it was also a black and white card. So we could see something like that. This was later than Embor. Obviously Embor we talked about a little with its ability in Fandango, which is a reprint. It's getting confirmed, getting like essentially a spiritual reprint there. So we could see something like that with water as well. I'm a little less inclined to say that we'll see like something like the Blastoise because we saw the the Embor, but still, we could see it. And then I think Keldeo EX, though, is possible. Keldeo is obviously going to be getting a card, and I'm excited to see what's going to be. It could be something that has synergy with the other sword Pokemon, but we'll see. It could definitely be something with Russian. Secret Sword is not like a super interesting attack here, but it is like cool enough as well, and I would not be shocked if we see something pretty similar to this. Then we have Gothel as the next card. Gothel has this ability saying that if it's in the active, your opponent can play items from their hand. So this is a really cool ability, I guess. I don't know if it's actually cool, but it's one that was like played some and definitely pretty good and kind of iconic. Not the most iconic, but also Gothel I feel like doesn't really have iconic cards outside of this. And yeah, this isn't insanely iconic, but it's somewhat up there. Obviously, the big reason why maybe not this one, I mean, Item Lock's in the game right now. I don't think people are generally big fans of it. Some people say it's good for the game, and there are like some valid reasons, I guess, but generally people don't like it. I've heard a lot of complaints about Badoo, and so, this is a card kind of like it. I mean, it's Item Lock, right? It functions pretty differently, but it's certainly in a similar vein. I mean, again, being just item lock, this was paired with hit and run stuff. Notably, Excelgor. Excelgor could also get a reprint. Excelgor is actually pretty cool. I'm also pretty skeptical about this one getting a spiritual reprint because it's already got one. They got one in, I think it was Journey Together. It's much worse, but it's like kind of similar. I guess Gothel also got like maybe a spiritual reprint with Tyranitar, but I don't know exactly what direction they take this Pokemon. I think this one is possible that we see it back. And again, we do have Tyranitar. It's like a very similar card to Gothel, so it's not like they aren't shying away from that design completely either. Again, they're kind of redundant with each other, but I could see this card coming back. The next card, though, this is like the big one. This one's Garbodor. Garbodor has an ability that says if it has a tool card attached, each Pokemon to play in hand and in discard has no abilities except for the ability Garbotoxin. This card is really interesting. Notably, it would probably be reworked a little bit because it talks about like abilities in hand and discard, and that's generally something that's been removed out of the like wordings of the cards, for example, in Iron Thorns EX, and this matters for something like Palafin EX, so it changes a few things, but it's not that big of a deal almost ever. So they changed the wording slightly. Garbotoxin's a card that, though, I've seen a lot of people talk about. I am not a big fan of this card. Again, kind of relating to the Badoo thing, the lock thing. This is an ability lock card, really just shutting down a lot of things. I'm not a big fan of the new Team Rocket's Arbok. I mean, I think it's good. I don't think it's been played that much in Japan from what I've seen, but I do believe that it is a very strong card, potentially. And then also the Team Rocket's Watchtower. These are like ability stopping cards in some regard. They're different from each other, but they both slow down abilities, and they're, in my opinion, not super cool for the game because they slow things down a lot, and also they slow things down and make things a little less interesting. It's not like, oh, they slow things down, so now you have more options. Like, no, you're slowing things down because you can't play your cards to the degree that you want. But still, Garbodor is a card that I've heard a lot of talk about, and I'm interested in hearing if people like it or not. I've heard a few people say that they really want it back. I personally don't. I think it'll make things kind of boring. Also, if you look at like the top decks, I mean, Dragapult's really good, and Dragapult would probably toss Garbodor in it, and then it would be doing more Dragapult, and I don't think people are generally looking for that. Still, Garbodor is a really good card, and I would not be shocked at all if this one got reprinted. I think it's very possible. It could literally be exactly reprinted. It actually already got reprinted in X and Y, so Garbodor was like in the game for a really long time. But Garbodor is a pretty iconic Pokemon, I guess, and this is certainly a very strong card as well. That again, I feel like kind of makes sense for Garbodor. There've been a few good ones, but this could definitely be it. The next card we have here, though, we have a few trainers, and this one's Max Potion. Max Potion is kind of interesting because it's been in the game a few times, but it was first a black and white card, and it says you heal all damage from one of your Pokemon, then discard all energy from that Pokemon. Based on some of the reprints we've seen, I feel like Max Potion makes sense We'll see whether or not it actually ends up happening. Obviously, we have some healing in standard, not like insane healing, but I mean like Terra Snare is kind of like this, I guess. Max Potion's really good. I think it's kind of fun personally, though I definitely could see people complaining about it. It like heals all the damage off one of your Pokemon and it's an item, so you can kind of just like spam this. But it still is, it's kind of cool in my opinion. And it has cool synergy. I always see with like the fairy stuff, so like moving energy around gives some fun synergies. But it can be slotted into a lot of different things as well. We see it with like Zoroark GX here, which is a one energy attacker, or no, so it's a one attachment attacker, and of a special energy, and then a lot of different things here. So I think it's cool. A lot of it is like stall, admittedly, which again people aren't generally big fans of. But Max Potion, in my opinion, is a card that I kind of want to see back, and I feel like it could make a return here. It's not like when people think of iconic black and white cards, it's probably not one that they think of, but it still is. It's certainly kind of in that conversation. Next card though is Colress. This is a supporter. And also is a Team Plasma supporter. Team Plasma was like a big thing in the black and white era, including like the Team Plasma cards were important. And Colress was a very good one. Shuffle your hand to your deck, draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponents. It's a pretty solid draw supporter. It's kind of cool. The areas go under depths as well. Overall, is it like broken or is it like, I don't know exactly how good it is. I personally don't think Colress is insanely strong. I think it's a little overrated in formats like expanded or like other similar formats to that, but overall, it does let you draw a bunch of cards theoretically. So Colress is definitely a card that you kind of want to keep an eye on. That again could get reprinted. I think it would kind of make sense for us to get another Colress card. We got Colress's Tenacity really recently. We also have the Cure, which counters Colress, which is like really funny, which is still pretty good, honestly. Well, I mean, it's really good if you're countering a Colress card, right? So another thing to keep an eye out for, but definitely Colress is a card that I could see getting reprinted. It would not be a Team Plasma card, presumably. I don't expect Team Plasma stuff itself to be in the set. Team Plasma is kind of like Ancient or Future or like Trainers Pokemon. Actually, we could see a Team Plasma's trainer thing. That I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're kind of done with Trainers Pokemon, but that is possible. I didn't even think of that before starting recording this, but that's really interesting. Because the Trainers Pokemon are kind of weird. A lot of people are like kind of divided on how much stuff they're going to get, if they're going to get more. I don't think they're going to get more. I'm pretty sure we're done after this set. I don't think we're going to get any of this set, but it's possible. It being like a mini set's like a little weird, or like a special set, but it is possible, and that would be kind of cool. It could be like a mini focus within the set as well. And then I think we get Colress back. Maybe it might be changed a little, but definitely a really cool card. Honestly, the Team Plasma stuff didn't have crazy synergy either. I'm not gonna lie, but it was like cool. There was some synergy, and then there were a bunch of cool cards as well. Then we have Computer Search. Computer Search is an A spec. It's a really good A spec. I was gonna say it's the best. I don't actually know how it stacks up against Prime Catcher, but you discard 2 cards, search for any 1 card. It's really good. And it's an A spec that's like the before standard, before we got them back. This was like the A spec. So there's also Dazzling Machine. I think Dazzling Machine is actually cooler, and I'd like it more. But I'm including Computer Search here because it's pretty iconic from the black and white era. I was also in the base set era, but it was like different. I mean, it's technically the same card, but not really. So Computer Search is it's an A-Spec, and they haven't really touched A-Specs that much recently, but if they end off the A-Spec era, because presumably there won't be more A-Specs printed, but ending it off with Computer Search, I think would be kind of cool. I am not super confident this is going to come, but I think it would be pretty cool if we saw it. And now we have some other cards that we need to talk about. These cards are ones that are submitted by viewers about potential cards that they think could also make it back. These first 2 cards here are submitted by Wave as well. So this one is Meowetta EX. It's got 210 HP here, and then it also has the attack Round, which does 60 for each Pokemon in play with the Round attack. And we've seen some Pokemon with Round as well. I was looking at it. And we actually saw more than I thought. I don't know if there are any in standard. I don't think so, no. But there are some in there was this one in like black, or in Sword and Shield, and there's a bunch of them. And they just kind of like appear from time to time. They're kind of bad, honestly. But Round is an attack that again does like damage based on the number of Pokemon in play you have with Round. We saw Let's All Roll Out, I think, was kind of like the same idea. And you have some like this one's an X and Y card, but you do have oh yeah, there was a Meowetta EX with round. This one I think saw a little bit of play, though not that much play. I don't think it was super good. And then there was like Exploud, and there were some others. I'm not very familiar with the deck. I'm not gonna lie, but it is like interesting. I don't necessarily expect this back. I honestly am not a big fan around. It also has an ability here though. This is when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, draw you may draw cards until you have as many cards in your hand as you do Pokemon in play with round, including this Pokemon. It's kind of like Genesect V, but like nerfed, because Genesect V was like one of the best cards ever. And I honestly, Genesect V might be the best card ever. But that was like super broken because you could like draw through your entire deck like every turn. So this is still very good, kind of reminiscent of Shaman EX as well. An older card, newer than Black and White, but sometimes it's still in that like capital EX era as well. Meowetta EX, Meoetta's gonna get some cards. Are you gonna get a card? And we'll see what it looks like. It could be round. I don't necessarily think it will be, but this is definitely an interesting consideration. Next card is Genac EX. Genac EX has, this one's got 220 HP with the ability Red Signal. When you attach a special energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you switch out your opponent's active to the bench, and your opponent chooses. Then you have Megalo Cannon, 210 for Grass Colorless, and then it does 40 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Genesect had another pretty iconic Black and White era card, a later Black and White era card, a Team Plasma card as well. It had Megalo Cannon, it had Red Signal. Megalo Cannon, the damage is like buffed. I feel like this is like pretty fair. I actually think if Pokemon printed it would be a little weaker, but also like this is completely balanced. And honestly, not even like super strong, but certainly fair for what they could print. Then Red Signal. Red Signal is different because it works with the Team Plasma energy. And speaking of like the Team Plasma stuff, as I said earlier, this could be part of that if they did Team Plasma's Pokemon. Though again, I'm not super confident on that one. But this is a card that I think it's really cool. It's like a true spiritual reprint of the other Genesect EX, which again was a pretty iconic Pokemon, paired with the Virizion EX as well. But definitely a pretty good card, and pretty cool card. And so, also not sure why the image is blurred here, but yeah, definitely a really really cool ability. It's nerfed here because the old one, well, this one was a Plasma Energy, so a specific type of special energy, but then you Gust, right? So this is much weaker in terms of that because like, you don't choose obviously, but it is still like, in the same idea. And I could honestly see it being Gust as well. I think name the ability the same. It's like a little different, so I wouldn't expect it to be the same. And again, I don't think we're gonna see like the full Team Plasma stuff, but we could, and that'd be cool. But I think we're definitely gonna see. I think Genesect being in the mold of Genesect EX makes a lot of sense. Genesect has like one good card in standard. It had Genesect V, which was super good. But definitely, I feel like, I don't know, Genesect V is like pretty iconic, but Genesect EX is also pretty iconic. So, bundling it after that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, that's also a Black and White era card, right? So that would make more sense. But I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with Genesect. Definitely a cool Pokemon. And we have some other Meloetas. These are submitted by Pi R. And this one here they both have the ability Relic Song, which says you may switch it with, you switch it with the other Meloetta in hand, and then the stuff stays the same. Then if you do flip a coin, if heads, your opponent's active is now asleep. This is interesting. I think it's a little complicated. The one, I don't actually know that much about Meloetta as a Pokemon, I'm not going to lie, or Pokemon lore in general, but it's got these two forms here, and then they have two attacks, which are like pretty normal attacks, nothing crazy here. Some weird weakness stuff going on here, but you have oh wait, no, they have resistance. Oh yeah, they might like, it would be cool if they added back resistance, but I don't see that happening, right? But anyways, the attacks. There's not that much to say about the attacks. Meloetta, those switching forms is kind of cool. I do like form switching Pokemon, I guess. Theoretically they're cool. They're generally not super good, but they're fun. And Meloetta having two cards, I don't think we're gonna see two forms or two versions of the card because of kind of what they've said, but it's not impossible. So we'll see if they do like a form switch thing. Again, not really, don't think this is super likely, but still an interesting thing to consider here. Then and also it's like a little complicated as well. But then we have Iris's training. Iris's legendary training, which says if you have an Axew, Fracture, or Haxorus in play, and this card wasn't your disco pile at the start of your turn, you may play this card from your discard. Okay. And then if you only have two dragon Pokemon only have dragon Pokemon in play, choose one or both. Draw two. During this turn, your opponent's no, sorry, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more to your opponent's active. Attach an energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. This is kind of cool. It seems like really strong. I think I'm not really actually no. It seems like strong. Um, but and also like a little complicated for a supporter. But you are able to have like that synergy between the actual line and Iris, which kind of makes sense. Iris is definitely gonna probably get a card. That sentence was kind of silly, but I was gonna get a card. I imagine we did see Iris is fighting Spirit recently as well, which is like a pretty generic supporter. There was the Iris supporter which increased damage, and then this has that idea to it. I think it would not draw cards certainly. I think having Dragon Synergy is cool. We haven't seen Iris with Dragon Synergy, so that could be fun. I think the playing from the discard, I think it should go back to your hand, kind of like Grant. That would make a little more sense. And then I think you can only play it from the discard, actually. This is like a little weird. I'm not actually entirely sure, though. Actually, no, I think you can play it normally. And then you can also play it from the discard. So it seems also pretty strong, as I said, as I'm like diving into it. But I think it's I think we could see it's kind of like Raihan as well. So we could see something kind of in the mold of Raihan. We have the acceleration, and then you have some other aspect to it. So I think we could see some of these ideas in an Iris supporter or in supporters that we see. Though again, I think this is a little more than Pokemon's probably going to be doing here. Next thing we have though is Iris's Draconic Assault. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see multiple supporters for a single trainer, but you never know. And obviously Iris, again, a very iconic character from Black and White, I guess. Probably I don't know. I mean, you got like is she a champion? I think she is. And then she's like I don't know. I don't know that much about Pokemon lore, but it says this one here says if you only have Dragon Pokemon in play, choose one or both. Switch it. You switch, and then you can use the attack. This is kind of weird with a supporter giving attacks. I mean, I do like cards like this. The attack says for each different type of energy attached to your Pokemon, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and then do 50. Okay, I think you can like double up. This is cool. Again, pretty complicated. I definitely don't think we're going to see a card quite like this really at all. I think we're going to see, I think it could be something only if Dragon Pokemon are in play though. But yeah, definitely like a fun idea for a card being able to like copy attacks, though I don't expect to see that here, unfortunately, at all. Last card though is Crocodile EX. This one, I don't know, this one is 200 HP. I like glanced at this before, and that's like really low. I think it should be like this is supposed to be 300. Because 200 is very low. Anyways, I feel like the HP would make sense at 320 or no 330 maybe. I don't know. I'm not very familiar with Crocodile. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely not a super memorable Pokemon to me. But this one has dual typing. There's also one without dual typing, but I'm showing the one with dual typing, which would be cool. I don't expect it to come back. Also, these are made of PokeCardMaker.net. Not actually sure where why there's dual typing for Darkness. I guess it's because there's like dark Pokemon, but there's certainly not dark Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. But there's that as a template. Anyways. So you have the ability Tyrant Sands here, which says when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve, you discard the top. No, sorry. When your opponent plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon, you discard the top card of their deck. And then it says when your opponent plays a Pokemon from their hand onto their bench, you may discard the top card of your deck, and if you do, you discard a card from your opponent's hand at random. Okay, yeah. Oh, no, this is coming back to me where Crocodile has like discarding stuff, so that makes a lot of sense here for like the mill/disruption. Then you have Foul Play here for 4. There's 100, just 50 more for each attacks. Defending Pokemon. Each attack. I think that's a typo. Each attack the defending Pokemon has, and then before doing damage, discard all tools from your opponent's active Pokemon. I feel like the discarding tools is like not super important, but it's like fine, I guess. But then you also have the ability is the main thing. The attack is definitely pretty weak. Again, the HP is like really low for like a Stage 2 EX. But overall, I think we're gonna see some discard stuff from Crocodile, and could be through an ability something like this as well. Crocodile again, I don't think has had super good or interesting cards. What I'm thinking of is this one, which is kind of similar. It's like when this discards from their hand. Okay, so yeah, you discard from the hand. There's some different ones that I think discard. I don't know. I'm not really, again, oh yeah, there's the mill one as well. That's what I was thinking. I think I was mixing these two together. But yeah, you have some disruptive ones, just a lot of different disruptive crocodiles. So it's definitely going to be disruptive in some sense. Could definitely be a mill-based one. Then we have these last set of cards here submitted by Flint. These are it's a Reunicless line here, and there was actually two versions submitted as well. But we're just going to take a look at this one. They're pretty much the same. Solosis here is Cytoplasm, saying if your opponent tries to put damage counters on this Pokemon during the turn, they flip a coin. If tails, they can't put damage counters on your Pokemon for the rest of their turn. This is, I guess, kind of like counter to like Dusknoir or like Dragapult as well. So it's kind of cool. I guess I feel like the flipping coin thing is kind of weird. It's like kind of cool, definitely. I think if Pokemon did this, they'd just make it like immunity to bench damage counters or something, or just damage counters or something. Which we see. Then we have on some Pokemon. Then we have Dusion. Dusion. I don't know how to. Oh, yeah. Is it Duosion? I don't know. Anyways, so this one, it has 6 HP. Regroup. You can only use this ability if one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, and then during your opponent's during your opponent's last turn. Sorry. Then attach one basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon in play. This ability seems really good. It's kind of like Dynamotor, but it's like better by like quite a bit in general. I mean, it's more universal. You need to be knocked out, so that's worse in that way. But it seems really good. Cyblob, 60 to deal 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This seems a little strong. Not like insanely strong. Not that it would be too good, but I feel like Pokemon would print it maybe a little weaker. But the ability is cool. Probably a little too good, but it's like kind of fun. I do like good previous evolutions. Then the Reunicless here with 120 HP on stage 2 split up. It says if this Pokemon is knocked out, search your deck for up to 2 in any combination of Solosis and Dusion, and put them onto your bench after choosing your new active Pokemon. And then if you put 2 Pokemon onto your bench, this way your opponent takes 1 fewer prize card. Okay, this is like kind of fun. It's a little good. Actually, I don't know. It's like it's strong, but I don't know if it's insanely broken, or anything. Because like you can theoretically loop this a lot and just like never give up prizes. Your attack here is also kind of bad, which to make up for it, which is 120 for 4. Then choose to your opponent's bench Pokemon, deal 60 to one and 30 to the other. This is actually cool. I don't think Pokemon's done this before. Like 61, 30 to another, like bench snipe, like split up like this, which is really fun. But Cyblob, I think Cyblob's a fair attack for the strong ability. I think that taking one less prize card, I just don't see Pokemon making the ability this strong. Not that it would be broken, but it would be quite good. And again, I just don't see them doing it. But I think the ability and the attack are both really cool as well. It also has a really strong stage 1 and like a pretty decent basic. I don't know. The base is kind of bad because it's like super weak, but it's like an interesting ability there. Nothing crazy. It's kind of like kind of reminds me of the Sinisty. Or no, Sinist. What is it? I got the wrong one. No, the Poltergeist. Oh no, Poltergeist. Yeah, I was like, what's that Pokemon? Poltergeist, which is like immune to. Oh, it's on the bench. It's immune to damage and effects of attacks. So kind of reminds me of Solosis there. It's a little bit different, but yeah, I feel like there's something more similar that I'm blanking on. But regardless, I think the line is cool. I think Reunicless could definitely be something where it splits up. That's a really fun ability, and I could definitely see them making something kind of like that. And again, the attack is also interesting, pretty simple and straightforward, but something I just haven't seen for the Pokemon TCG either, in a cool way, right? But I'm really interested in seeing what they're gonna add to the set. But comment down below what you think. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.